I don't. I don't think that that's what Arthur Blank is wanting to do right yet, is start a rebuild. Look, man, the Falcons, it kind of goes back to the same narrative. I know that Atlanta sports fans, Falcons fans especially, just tired of this team losing. But they are a good football team. They do have enough talent to make a run. They started 1-7 last year, and I think that you got to at least give a new GM and maybe new head coach, could be Raheem Morris. You got to give them a little bit of rope to see if they can do something with the talent on this team. So I don't think you need to go draft Matt Ryan's replacement yet. He's under contract until 2024. This team really needs to make some good, solid picks on the defensive line and secondary in this draft. And I think that they can probably win next year.
Okay, cool. Do you believe any of this talk of potentially trading Julio and Matt Ryan? People are coming out saying a lot of things that the Falcons are interested in trading both of them. I personally don't believe it, but how do you feel about that, Beau?
Yeah, I don't know if you can believe it. I think most of that's internet rumors. Rich McKay, he's the Falcons president. He's the interim GM right now. He was the GM a few years ago. He was actually on NFL Network today, and he told them not to look for them to be trading any of their great football players. And that would include Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. He didn't specifically name them. Now, he also did say if somebody came calling us with a great deal, nothing is impossible. But he said that he's not calling any of the 31 other teams looking for something for these guys. It would take a couple first-round draft picks, I think, maybe to get Julio. I don't think you trade Matt Ryan. You got them both until 2024. Matt's still got enough in the tank. He's 35. You see what these guys can do. He's not Tom Brady, but he can play till he's probably 40, and be efficient enough to get this team back to another playoff run. So I don't think they're going to get traded. If somebody comes knocking on the door with some first-round draft picks, they have to listen. I think definitely not Matt. Julio possibility, but it's a real small one.
Now, Beau, a lot of times we see in the league when new GM comes into place and he hires his guy as a head coach. A head coach comes in, and a lot of times he wants a new quarterback. Do you see that potentially playing out? I know you say Matt Ryan still has some in the tank, and I think so too. I've defended Matt Ryan. Last week he had a phenomenal game, big-time game last week. Had a couple slow games, but for the most part, Matt Ryan has been a top 10 quarterback, and he's a top 10 quarterback this year. I think he still can play, but do you think it just depends on that general manager and then him hiring the head coach and the head coach's decision on this?
I think it could be. I think the head coach and the GM are going to get together on this and decide what they want to do, and that'll probably happen in the offseason. But I think Matt Ryan still gives the Falcons their best chance to win. It's hard to find an elite quarterback, and you can say what you want about playoff jokes and whatnot, and 28-3. Matt Ryan's still an elite quarterback in this league, future Hall of Famer more than likely. I think that he gives the Falcons the best chance to win. So if the new GM is smart, they ride this thing out for a couple of years. Arthur Blank is going to give them at least time to try to figure something out and win with this new players that they have now.
Okay. Let's talk about Calvin Ridley having a huge year, 4 touchdowns, 21 receptions, 349 yards. Do you look at him as a number one receiver, or is that a little bit premature?
I think Ridley could be the number one receiver on several teams. He's a great compliment to Julio Jones. When they're both on the field, they both excel. In the 2 games this season that Julio is out, Calvin Ridley goes 5 for 110 and 8 for 136. And that's with Gage on the other side of the field from who doesn't, who's not going to draw any double teams whatsoever. He's a talented young kid at LSU, but, Calvin Ridley is plenty good enough to do this thing on his own. He can go up and get the ball. I don't know that I had some people telling me that they thought that if Julio was in the game on that Matt Ryan interception where he just hit the guy right in the numbers, and Julio doesn't allow that to happen. I don't think that's even possible. He threw it right to the defender. So there was nothing that really could be done on that one. But yeah, man, he could be a number one guy on several teams, and he's a great number 2 as a compliment to Julio. Okay.
Aloha Khan, we seen interceptions from him, Deion Jones, A.J. Terrell last week. Yep. The Falcons defense got a lot of turnovers. They played well. Kirk Cousins picking them off 3 times in the first half. Really impressive. But Isaiah Oliver, he's been taking a lot of heat. Their second-round pick in 2018. Do you see him improving? We know he struggled, but he's only 24 years old. What do you think the upside is for him, or is he just not that good of a player, or do you see?
His best season was his rookie year, and it's kind of just gone downhill from there. This is year 3, man, and so if he doesn't have a good second half of season. I think he's got maybe 5 passes defended this season in the 5. He started 5 games. He played in all 6. You know, guys are just running by him. It's year 3. You know, he's still young, and I get that. But this is the NFL. Usually, if a player's going to make that next step, it's in year 2. You know, so I don't know how much more rope they can give him. Unfortunately, they don't have anybody else they can throw out there. They are really missing KC out there in that secondary. That's why I think you got to go after some players in the secondary in this draft. There's some great young corners they can probably pick up in the first round if they chose to do so. Yeah, Isaiah Oliver, man, I don't know. This is year 3 for him. I don't know if he makes the team next year if he continues to look like this.
Do you put all the blame on him, or would you blame maybe, and we know they're gone, Dimitroff is gone and Dan Quinn is gone, but them not bringing in a vet and maybe expecting too much from him?
What was that? Who was the player you were talking about again?
Isaiah Oliver, do you think they expected a little bit too much from him and some of the blame should have been on the coaching staff and maybe Dimitroff?
I'm losing you again.
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, do you think that some of the blame could be put on maybe Quinn putting him in his position and Dimitroff, and maybe Oliver, it was a little bit too much pressure thinking he could be a number 1 corner?
I don't know. I mean, they took a guy in the 2nd round, so they obviously thought that he was talented. You know, I don't think that there's too much pressure being put on him just because they're young. Unfortunately for the Falcons, they've added a bunch of talent to this offense, and it's a high-level elite offense. They just haven't done anything with the defense. Unfortunately, the Oliver pick hasn't worked out as a 58th pick. You know, but I don't think that you need to be able to perform under pressure, and he's just getting burned by guys.